Calling it a job well done, President Moon Jae-in showed appreciation for the trade officials' accomplishments with regards to the recently concluded negotiations between Seoul and Washington. The deal helped remove a possible source of conflict at a time when close cooperation between the allies is more important than ever before. Arirang's chief Cheongwade correspondent Moon Gun-young has our top story.
South Korean President Moon Jae-in is relieved that any potential conflict between Seoul and Washington have been settled by concluding negotiations on the 6-year-old Korea-U.S. Free Trade Agreement. Speaking at a weekly meeting of his top aides on Monday, the South Korean leader gave credit to his trade officials who spent weeks hotel hopping in Washington as they raced to overcome major trade hurdles with their U.S. ally ahead of high-stakes nuclear discussions with North Korea.
보호무역주의 흐름이 고조되는 상황에서 미국과의 FTA 개정 협상을 빠르게 마무리함으로써 대외 경제의 불확실성을 해소한 것은 매우 큰 성과입니다.
The trade officials' efforts culminated in a revised pact the two countries announced last week that gives U.S. automakers and pharmaceuticals more access to the South Korean market while lifting the threat of a 25% U.S. tariff on South Korean steel in exchange for quotas that will cut imports of Korean steel by about 30%. The president, however, still asked his government to carefully review possible impacts of the revised free trade deal and draw up necessary measures to make sure local industries aren't negatively affected.
한반도 평화 정착 및 북핵 문제 해결을 위해 한미 양국 간 긴밀한 협력이 꼭 필요한 상황에서 갈등 요인을 정리했다는 점에서도 아주 잘한 일입니다.
By securing a new approach to bilateral trade, the presidential Blue House believes South Korea and the U.S. can now focus on the road ahead, keep all their attention on the high politics of peace and security, with the South Korean president set to meet North Korean leader Kim Jong-un at the end of this month, and the first ever North Korea-U.S. summit expected to take place by the end of May. Moon Gun-young, Arirang News, The Blue House.